Rejection is a painful emotion. Whether it's the little girl on the playground who's overlooked or a dream job that slipped away, it's hurtful, and its effects can be lasting. When I first began thinking of this topic, I related it to estrangement. If you've been rejected in a relationship, you know the pain and triggers that can keep you from moving forward in life. As a woman who has had a fair share of estrangement, I feel your pain. I know the depth of emotions and the negative self-talk that looms, and you feel as if it's just you. None of your friends are experiencing this level of rejection, or are they? I'm learning that rejection is a universal issue. Its target isn't just women, but children, siblings, parents, grandparents, coworkers, and, well, everyone. So how do you deal with this rejection? What mindset needs to shift? What behaviors can change so that you can live your life to the fullest without guilt and shame so that you can move on? I'll share that with you today. Find the full transcript for this episode, plus resources for women at Estrangement, Turning Pain into Peace at beckycole.com/10. You're listening to Estrangement, Turning Pain into Peace, a podcast and free resource for women with estranged relationships, created by me, host and coach Becky Kolb. My superpower is to help you turn your emotional pain into peace by conquering guilt and shame, rebuilding self-confidence, and developing healthy boundaries. I've dealt with estranged relationships most of my life and know both the pain and the peace. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's dive into today's episode. When dealing with rejection, I've discovered 3 steps that will enable you to heal, grow, and move on to the life you want to live. These 3 things are simple, but not easy. If I can do it, I know you can too. And the peace you'll experience will make it worthwhile. I'll go into detail for each of these later in the show, but here are the 3 steps. Acknowledge the issue and the pain. Learn the valuable lessons learned. And finally, let it go. Now, as I said, these are 3 simple steps to move on from rejection, but the success is in the work. So stick with me and let's move on to the first one. Acknowledge the issue and the pain. Rejection hurts deep into the soul. Just think of being that young child on the playground who so desperately wants to be chosen on a team. One by one, a leader calls another child, and it isn't you. The next one will be. I know you aren't a child, but you may feel like it when rejection of relationships sting. If you heard some of my earlier podcasts, you know that my biological father left me and my mom when I was an infant. I didn't feel the rejection until I was older and learned that the man I called Dad was my adoptive father. I felt betrayed, curious, and angry all at the same time. And later in life, following my divorce, I gave up an adopted child, and my family rejected me because of that decision. That estrangement lasted several years. I've spoken with a woman whose sibling has decided to reject her, and they haven't spoken in years. She has no idea what prompted it. Another couple told me that their adult children haven't spoken to them in over 10 years. And one more had her heart set on a particular promotion. She felt great about her chances. She was well prepared and interviewed well. But she was passed over for someone with less experience. She was crushed. I know of no rejection that feels good. Even if you're angry with someone and never want to speak with them again for something they've done or said, it still hurts deeply. And unlike a physical pain that gets better over time, emotional pain can linger until you deal with it. So the first step to moving on from rejection is to acknowledge what happened. Admit to yourself that you're in emotional pain. Say it aloud. The freedom we feel internally just by acknowledging and admitting this aloud is healing. And now the second step. Here's where the challenging work begins. This may take a few weeks or months. Take as much time as you need, as it's the most critical. Rejection creates separation, and it's a time you can give serious thought to what happened. You'll learn some valuable lessons that you can use for the rest of your life. And don't do this when you're feeling angry or sad. You'll need a clear head. When you're hurting, it's easy to find someone to listen to your side of the story, sometimes over and over. I remember a time in my life where I would just recite mine to friends. Initially, they felt sorry for me, but after hearing it multiple times, well, they just don't want to hear it anymore. And it isn't healthy for you to continue that pattern. So set aside some time with a journal and a pen. Keep an open mind. And I'm going to give you some questions. Write your answers as they come to you. When did the situation begin? What were the circumstances? What part did you play in the rejection? How could you have managed it differently? How have you been overseeing your pain? What do you want to happen? Reconciliation, peace, whatever it is. And what can you do to work toward that goal? If you could say anything to the person who rejected you, what would it be? What would it take for you to forgive the person? Would you forgive them if they asked you? What is the biggest lesson you've learned about this since it began? So there's the questions. Write down the date you began in the journal. Think about your answers for the next few days. In a couple of weeks, do it again and see if any of your thoughts or answers have changed. Pay attention to your emotions and how they change. I think once you do this over a couple of months or even longer, you'll begin to see a pattern of growth and some unbelievably valuable lessons you've learned. This separation is a time of tremendous growth in you. The time apart also gives them a break to see the real cause of the rejection and deal with their own emotions. You'll grow to a new place of deep respect for yourself. You may begin to see the situation differently and determine ways that you can reach out in a new manner. If you decide not to rekindle the relationship, you'll still learn valuable lessons that will help you develop even healthier ones. When you're rejected, you tend to focus on the rejection, the what, why, how could they? But what if you shifted your mindset to new possibilities that might not have occurred otherwise? Learning a new perspective makes all the difference in the world to your emotional well-being, and it provides unlimited growth prospects. And remember, this exercise is for you alone. The growth is all about you and an effort to help you move on and find peace. And so now let's move on to step 3, letting go of the pain of rejection. I won't sugarcoat it. We know that rejection is an intensely emotionally painful thing. Finding a way to let go will be a salve for your soul. And it's this growth that will lead you to conquer step 3. And that's finally letting go of the pain for good. Now, I'm fully aware of the triggers that can bring back painful memories. But what I've discovered once I let go is that the painful memories just come for a short visit. They don't stay long. And oh, the joy I feel when I could see how far I had come. For me, I discovered some strategies that helped when those triggers came for a visit, and I'll share those with you now. Focus on who you are, really, not who others say you are or who you feel you are. You're a woman who is beautiful, caring, and a great person. Keep it up. Recite some affirmations. I know this sounds corny, but believe me, it works. Write down 5 positive statements about you, starting with I am, or I can, or I will, such as, I am a great coach who makes a difference in the lives of my clients. Make it unique to you and say these aloud to yourself. I know I always look around just to make sure no one's listening to me. Remember, these are just for you. And then divert your mind. Don't let the emotion or trigger linger. Go for a walk, read a book, put on some music and dance. Find joy in the relationships you have. Family, friends, coworkers, or neighbors. Seek them out and enjoy those. There's nothing wrong with feeling the emotions. Just don't let them stay too long. They're a reminder that you're human and have a heart. When the rejection continues, that's a hard one. When you've grown and moved on, but the other person hasn't or won't, what do? It may be necessary for you to be around this person if you work together or if they're family. You'll need to develop some strong affirmation statements, and here are some examples. I have moved on and won't allow negativity to ruin my day. Or maybe this one. I'm on the high road. They get to choose what road they will take. Or I will choose kindness and respect in all relationships. Or lastly, if they try to trigger me, it's an invitation, and I have the power to decline. You get to choose how you want to respond to all situations and relationships in life. You can harbor bitterness and throw out sharp digs if you want, or you can choose who you want to be: kind, respectful, a good listener, generous. You see the point. Practice these 3 steps. Acknowledge the rejection and the emotional pain. Learn valuable lessons just for you. And finally, let it go. And you'll experience the inner growth and peace that follows. You'll find your power there. Following these steps has made me a better person today, and I've discovered a lasting internal peace despite my circumstances. You can learn more about my story by downloading and discovering more of my tips. Go to my website, beckykolb.com/guide. Until next time, remember to be better, not bitter. Thanks for listening to the podcast, Estrangement, Turn Pain into Peace. I know you have your own story filled with emotional pain, or know someone who does. Learn more about the successful strategies I use to help women turn that pain into lasting peace and joy. And if you know other women who struggle with estrangement, please share. Until next time, remember you're an amazing and beautiful woman.